Dream Team, it's your boy D Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with Eltz Castle in Germany. Would you like to live here? I'm very intrigued. I mean, I'd always love to live in a castle. Like, who doesn't want to live in a castle? It's a castle. Before we dive into this, though, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so you can suggest it. Social media, Patreon, all up top. You can subscribe to any of it. Put all the links in the description. All you gotta do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Human, I talk back. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. What we got?
Imagine waking up here, gazing out of the window from one of your many towers and surveying the surrounding forest in the morning sunshine.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Life in a fairy tale castle. Surely that's everyone's dream. But is it really as good as it sounds?
Uh-oh.
Today I'm at REACTS Castle to find out what it's really like. This castle has been inhabited by the same family for over 800 years, so they seem like the best people to ask. The Eltz family.
800 years just passed on from generation to generation to generation. I would love that. I would love if I could create a castle, guys, and that just passed on my generation, my bloodline. It just kept going. I would absolutely love that.
100 years. So they seem like the best people to ask.
The Eltz family have managed to keep the castle in their hands over the last 8 centuries through careful diplomacy and smart marriages. The castle even used to be featured on the 500 Deutsche Mark bill.
Really?
And the castle has become a particularly famous Instagram hotspot in recent years as well.
With over 100,000 posts, Instagram has helped the castle reach younger and more international tourists. It's a 15-minute walk through the forest to get to the castle.
Okay.
Hidden away in this wooded valley, it's several miles away from the closest town. You would definitely have your own peace and quiet here.
I mean, wow. Come on. That really does look like something out of a fairy tale, right?
Yes, it definitely does.
Borg Eltz was designed more for looks than defense. It's more of a grand home than a medieval fortress.
It's a really nice walk here through the woods, but it might be a little bit inconvenient living in a castle that was tucked away in the middle of nowhere. I mean, what if you wanted to order takeout in the middle of the night? Although, I guess if you lived in a castle, you would probably have a private chef.
That's true.
We'll find out if that's really true later on.
That's true.
I finally made it. What an entrance.
That's sick. That is sick, guys.
Well, at first glance, it certainly seems quite impressive, doesn't it?
Yes, very.
Borg Eltz was built in the prime of medieval castle construction, between the 11th and 13th centuries, deliberately near the Mosel River, historically one of the most important trade routes in Germany. Nowadays, whilst it's obviously beautiful, I think living here could come with its challenges. The seclusion that protected it in the past might make modern life here more remote than most of us are used to. And these stone walls must be expensive to heat in the winter.
Okay, now I want to see if other people...
See, I don't be thinking about all these little things. I don't be thinking about all these little things. All I see is incredibly beautiful castle, huge, grandiose, absolutely amazing, and I think dream life. I don't think about the little things like these stones must be hard to heat in the middle of December, in the middle of winter. You feel? I don't think about this stuff.
Walls must be expensive to heat in the winter.
Okay, now I want to see if other people can imagine living here and what it would be like.
Really nice, I would say, because in the middle of the forest and something like this, huge, and it would be really nice to live in this kind of place.
During the day, yes. At
But
night,
I can.
Okay.
It would be like.
Yeah, at night I'd be a little scared. Yeah, I ain't gonna let she brought up a good point. Yeah, I'd be a little frightened.
during the day, yes. At
But
night,
night, I cannot imagine how it would be like.
yeah. Ja, ich habe schon während der Führung gesagt, dass ich den Erben heiraten muss, damit ich hier wohnen kann.
Well, it would be awesome because, you know, I mean, with this really beautiful views that we have around the area, it would be really, really beautiful. I mean, to clean it would be quite difficult, but I guess if I have the money to live in a castle, I could have the money to help
Pay
have some
people.
people to help us.
Yeah.
Do you think, what
Exactly.
would it be like to actually live here? Would you want to?
Oh yeah, 100%. That'd be no doubt. I wouldn't like the tourists, alright. I'd love to live.
Medieval castle, it's maybe quite difficult to heat, especially with the upcoming oil crisis.
No, I'd be alright with that. I like the cold, so a couple of extra layers of clothing would be grand. Maybe sheepskin or something like that.
Time to see what it looks like on the inside.
Wow.
I want to find out what life here would have been like during medieval times, but also what it's like to live here today.
So of course we don't have any access into the private quarters of the family that lives here right now, but the man who resides over the whole castle, or the Lord of the Manor, I guess you could call him, has agreed to give me a private tour of the rest of the castle.
Let's go! I'm so excited. I don't know
Count
why I'm this
Jakob von
excited.
and zu Eltz took over the castle ownership from his father in 2018. He has another home in the area, but regularly spends time here at Burg Eltz, where he grew up.
When was the last time you actually spent the night here? Is that something that you do often?
Yeah, I do it quite regularly. So the last time I spent the night here was about a week ago.
And is it something that you consider a luxury being inside this castle? I know a lot of people would. I wonder what it's like for you.
It's certainly special. I wouldn't necessarily call it luxury. We do have all the modern amenities, but it's still a castle, and castles were never really luxurious. They were purpose-built, so it's not as luxurious as maybe someone would hope, but it does certainly feel special.
This castle certainly has
See, and I would think luxury, like castle, like luxurious. But when he says no, like it wasn't, castles weren't really built to be luxurious. Like, I've never thought about that. I've never thought about that because I don't know, like to live in a castle, to be the lord of a castle. Just seems amazing.
As maybe someone would hope, but it does certainly feel special.
This castle certainly has a certain atmosphere, of course. Is that something that you still experience?
Especially once people have left in the evenings and it gets quiet and you're in nature. It has a very, very special atmosphere. And there's also a kind of a sense of belonging here where for some reason I just feel totally at home.
Well, perhaps you can show me around more of your home.
I would absolutely love to.
Thank you.
Wow.
So one of my favorite features in this room is this alcove. You had a problem because this is one of the lower floors and you wanted to do many things here, amongst them also pray and read Mass. But there was a law back then which stated that you weren't allowed to place yourself above God, and that also meant you weren't allowed to live above a house of God. So the only way to do that was to build an alcove which had its own roof, and above the roof was only the sky. And so you could still use the floor above whilst being able to read Mass here. And so you actually kept the law in letter, if not necessarily in spirit.
Crazy. That's so cool. That's so cool. Wow.
So the bed is actually a lot larger than
That's
it looks. It's
beautiful.
about 1.80 meters wide and 2.10 meters long. And the reason for that is because the whole family would sleep in there. So it would be both the parents
wow.
as well as the children.
Wow.
Well, it was in order to preserve the heat. That's why you have the curtains. And that's also why it's built up, because you wanted to catch the rising heat. That's why back then people usually climbed into bed, and today we usually fall into bed.
Facts.
The theme painted across the bedroom walls is a playful one. It's full of phallic and fertility symbols.
I think this is really cool because not only are they doing a tour, like a private tour inside a castle, which is absolutely amazing, but you get to learn about like the history of like when the castle was built and how things were and why things were built the way that they were. And I think that's very interesting. I really like that, but it's a freaking castle, y'all.
Full of phallic and fertility symbols.
So dope.
So this is what you could imagine the living room of a wealthy family in medieval ages to have looked like. One of the most visually attractive things are the two tapestries that are hanging here. Now, tapestries evolved in the 14th century or even earlier because you would put cloth up in order to make the room warmer and more comfortable. The walls are up to 1.5 meters thick. So obviously they were very cool. The artists had heard stories of fabled plants and animals from people who had gone traveling around the world, but had never actually seen them themselves. So the animals and plants you see here, you'll see some aspects that seem familiar, but overall they are, you know, not how the animals look in real life.
True, the faces are a little bit warped somehow.
Yeah. Light was really expensive. You only had candles, and so you built these in order to use the sunlight for as long as possible for working, because you couldn't afford to light candles all the time.
I mean, there's also something quite idyllic about looking out at that beautiful view and sitting at the window, isn't there?
It is, though I think back then people might not necessarily have had the time to spend idling and looking out. Life in the medieval ages is very, very tough, and there was very little time to just idyllically look out and reflect on life.
And enjoy the view.
I can't imagine what life in the medieval times was like, bro. Like, that's interesting to think about. Like, I don't know, just different eras, like. And then what future eras, what life will be like in the future, like, I don't know. It's very interesting to think about. But you don't really, I mean, you can learn about it, but you don't really know unless you were there.
To just idyllically look out and reflect on life.
And enjoy the view.
So this is one of about 40 fireplaces in the castle. With about 80 rooms. That means every second room had a fireplace, which was an extraordinary luxury at the time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And they all had iron or cast iron backs, which heated up, and once they were hot, you could pick them up with certain tongs and bring them to the next room, which didn't have a fireplace, and that would give off the heat.
It's very innovative.
Hey!
It is.
Definitely is.
So a castle like this probably requires quite a lot of upkeep, am I right?
Oh, it certainly does. We are constantly renovating, repairing. There's always something that needs to be done all the time. It takes a lot of energy and also a lot of finances, which is why we're so grateful for our guests, because without them, none of this would be possible.
Yeah, of course, it must be quite an expensive task. So are you very reliant on tourists?
Oh, we are absolutely reliant. Without tourists, it would be impossible to upkeep this place. We are very fortunate to also get help from the government and the county, both financial help as well as help with the knowledge and the people who really know the stuff and help us in every way they can. But it would be financially impossible to upkeep the castle without our guests.
Wow.
So this is one of my favorite pieces as well, because it's a big wooden chopping block. It's not actually stonified. It's just the blood and the grease and the grime from centuries. But the wonderful thing about it is this house was finished in 1311, and this is the first floor, so it's the lowest room as well. And we measured it, and the chopping block fits neither through the window nor through the door. So it must have been here when they finished this room.
Wow.
Wow.
So this is probably one of the oldest pieces in this
In the
area,
castle,
then,
absolutely.
in the whole castle. Very
Dang.
nice.
Hey, that's the chopping block. So that's where like they chop like all the meat up and all the. That's where everything was getting chopped, basically. Am I right? Am I right? Am I wrong? Talk to me. Talk. This is just cool. This is just so cool. I'd love to take a private tour of a castle.
Very nice.
I would like so. I would like to do it as well.
I mean, kitchens are something that everyone can also relate to, even though this doesn't look like anyone's modern day kitchen. I assume this isn't where your meals are cooked when you live here?
No, it's not. It's not. It's actually one of 3 kitchens, though, and this is from a different line of the Eltz family. So our kitchen is somewhere else, and it's now been modernized. But it's not that dissimilar. I mean, you have an oven. It's a bread oven. You have a heating place. You have a table where you can sit down and enjoy a meal. You have a place where you can wash your dishes afterwards. You have a chopping block. You even have a fridge.
Well, hats off to German technology. But what's it like then for you when you're staying here? I mean, do you have dozens of staff waiting on you? Do you cook your own meals?
No, I absolutely cook my own meals, and I actually have absolutely no staff looking after me here. No, those days are very long gone. I live a very modern life, and no, I don't have any staff looking after me.
I guess for many people it would feel unusual living in a castle, but your life day to day, even if you spend it here, probably looks much the same as other people's. Is that right?
Well, absolutely. It's especially now that you have home office, because I work here, so I get out my laptop in the mornings and I drink my coffee that I made myself in my kitchen and in my coffee machine, and I'll answer my emails, and so I think most people would recognize it as being very similar to their own lives. I'm just very, very fortunate that the surroundings are very beautiful.
Yes, look at that, man. Dang.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me.
You're most welcome.
It was lovely to chat to you and to hear about your story.
It's great meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Man, it's been incredible getting to see a tour of this castle and getting to learn a little bit about history and how things were built in here and why they were built like that. It's just really cool. Fascinating.
Meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very fascinating.
Maybe it's not quite the fairy tale lifestyle that you might expect, and sure, it would be cold in the winter, but wouldn't it all be worth it just to have this whole place and the whole surrounding area all to yourself?
Probably. It probably would. Shout out to Hannah, because that was really cool, that video, getting to see that, getting to learn more about Germany, learn more about a castle as well. But that's all we got for this one. You guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Patreon, social media, all up top. You want to subscribe to any of it, put all the links in the description. All you got to do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Love talking to you guys. You guys are the most incredible team on YouTube. It's your boy Neal, out.